So recently, someone asked me about metadata fine-tuning, and it's been a while since I've made a video on fine-tuning, so I decided to make this notebook and showcase it for you. In this particular instance, I'm utilizing LORA for the fine-tuning method, which is low rank adaptation, and there's also another fine-tuning method that I'm not showcasing here, which is PEFT, parameter efficient fine-tuning. When it comes to fine-tuning, generally speaking, you'll either use LORA or PEFT. To me, there's not a huge advantage in all situations with one over the other. It would be my recommendation for your individual instances to fine-tune on whatever works for you, right? Like all of this is alchemy more than chemistry at the end of the day when it comes to individual fine-tunings, the performance of it, etc. What your end result is going to be is going to vary, right? And then that's just the way that it is with these models. And then so you should experiment with different fine-tuning methods, different changes in your data set, adding data to your data sets, etc. But so overall, the big question is I have metadata. How do I fine-tune my data, my model? And so this notebook demonstrates how to fine-tune a pre-trained model. In this instance, I'm using small LM 135M for memory constraints on a custom data set. And the data set consists of synthetic widget order metadata. So order ID, customer type, quantity, date, status. And key aspects of this notebook are that it utilizes data preparation. So I'll show you how to prep the data, which is like the main. This is to go. Then we tokenize the data. Then we perform operation, and then we configure our training. Then we train the model, and then we save the model, and then we test the model. That's basically it. And so in this instance, we take our data, and then I'm making up data in this instance, right? So I have order ID, customers, widget types, quantities, order dates, status, and then I convert this to a CSV file, just like you would, and then I convert it to metadata and create the data set. And then so in this instance, I'm feeding in the model all this data, right? So you want to make sure that your data set is clean, that there's no missing spaces, etc. Like 99% of errors that you're going to run into are in the data creation and prior to this step. Like I can't state that enough. Like a lot of people, when I get to this step and I showcase like fine-tuning a model, they think that there's a lot more to it. And like the 90% that's not being shown here is, how do you get this metadata? How do you collect this metadata? Like, what is the format that it's already in? Is it formatted nicely like this and already ready to go? Usually not, etc. And then so that's where all of your work comes in. And then so it seems extremely easy if you know exactly what data you want to use and it's perfectly organized, which is exactly why I'm using synthetic data here and not real data. And then so because I can easily organize it and set it up. And then so we go through. I create the data set, I load the model in, and then we just tokenize the data. Very straightforward. And then we're setting up our LORA and then LORA adaptation. In this instance, I'm doing some things in this particular training for memory. So when we go to the training arguments, I've got like weight decay, I've got a low learning rate, I've got FP16 turn to false, because I have gradient computation turned on. So I've got a few things that you could turn on if you had more memory to make this training better. And then so you can adjust these training arguments and these parameters, just so you know. But this is for free collab, I'm running T4 in this instance, and it maxes it out. And so I run this on for 3 epochs, and then we get below 1. So I consider this like a good validation and training and validation loss. It starts off high to 2.1 and then ends at 0.86, which is good. If it was like closer to 0.5, I'd be happier, but I'm content with it being below 1. So I would be cool with moving forward with this. And then I set up this testing loop here for if you want to test the model, right? And then so what this does is we've created the model and then saved it. And then so this will load our saved model. And then it gives it some prompts up front. So some test prompts like what's the order ID W2355 and customer Frank, and then it generates the order and it makes up some of this, right? Flat out, it's hallucinating. So if you call it that, some of this extra data that it's putting in there, but it finds the customer. Same thing with Alice, right? And showcasing that, and then I Alice and John are buying widgets, widget type B, and then it tells a story, right? Alice and John are buying widgets, widget type D. Alice and John are the fourth to buy widget type E. Won't you help me figure out what the third widget is? Alice and John to themselves, wondering who's that. So it'll go off, and then here's a prompt, here's an order date, kind of. In this instance, I'm giving it the metadata, and then it will generate additional data around the metadata. Whether or not you want this and this is beneficial to you depends on what your goals and your outcomes are with this training, right? Whether or not this was a successful training depends on your goals and outcomes of the training. It is generating outputs consistent with the metadata that we trained it on. In this instance, we trained it on these orders, these customers, and it is able to find and associate these customers with these orders. It will 100% hallucinate and make up on the orders on top of this. We could add guardrails and do a bunch of things on top of that if we wanted to make it more straightforward. And then in this, just highlighting in this loop that I've created, I do allow you to enter your own prompts as well. I just quit out of it before this video, but so I'll leave a link to the description for this collab. You can run everything that you would like here, have it all here for you, ready to go. This is how you would fine tune on metadata. So if you're interested in how to do it, here's the method. Here's exactly how you do it. And this is the very straightforward method. So you would do this, and then you would test and play around with your data sets, more data, longer epochs, different training parameters, etc. But that's the fun and experimentation of AI. So here you go, LORA Metadata Fine Tuner. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe. Thank you very much.